Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
And I'm Adam Sass. Hi, Ian.
Hi,
Hi. We are we
Adam.
are we are fantastically joined today by the host of Curious Jojo on YouTube.
Jojo.
Hi, Jojo.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
We are also joined, last but not least, by Twitch streamer and that guy you know from Twitter.
So nice.
Say your
Uh,
name.
Joe Organa. I'm so sorry. I got distracted by Jojo just saying Jojo, and I was like, wait, is it like a Pokemon thing where we only say our names?
Oh, we
And I
have
didn't
to have
I
like
didn't get that
a.
right away. I'm so sorry. But Joe Organa,
Hi.
my favorite thing to say.
We
Needs no introduction. That guy you know. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We are here to
What?
talk Agatha All Along episode 4. Before we get into it, I'm curious because Adam, this is the first time Adam, I love that you make now guest appearances always like hosting for a Marvel thing.
Oh, I
Um,
know. Right.
and like I feel like you and I also could be like real critical of the Marvel shit.
It's true. I mean, it's one of those like I love it. Like I'll like I because I'm on Twitter all the time, like defending this shit. Like it because like I was in the middle of like arguing with somebody who was like a big fan of the Penguin show, and God bless if you're into it. But like I was just like I was like, "Mwah," and I said something off, and like got into it a little bit, and I'm like, well, I can't. I guess I'm defending the Disney Corporation's Marvel products right now. But yeah, but I give as well as I take. So.
What have what have you felt so far about Agatha, and what do you
Okay.
feel about this episode, Adam?
Uh, I feel brought back to life. God damn it! I feel like I've just been like missing this whole world, especially the WandaVision world, because I was so into it. Obviously, Ian, you and I were running that WandaVision recap stuff like the Navy back in like 2021, and yeah, I feel completely re-energized. I feel young again. I feel like everything. I just feel it feels just great, and also just because of it, and we'll get into it. Like we've all been ground down to a nub experiencing the queer rep on here, and we got it all. They were saving it all across all those movies and shows for this one show. I'm so excited, and I loved it. And I really enjoyed this episode. I still think my favorite episode is still probably the last one, the
Yeah,
one in the housewives' house. But this one was still extremely good and really fun and great.
yeah.
And I would love to get into everybody else's responses because I have more minutia like about the episode about what I want to get into. But like I just think it's off like a freight train, and I think my one thing that I kind of love about the show that I'm glad is back is that WandaVision, like just everyone becomes like a detective again. We're all
Yeah.
like investigating, and what's that mean? And that's the other thing where it's been so uh it's a very queer show in the queer rep, but it's also extremely queer in that like everyone's speaking in code.
Yeah.
Like the episode 4 was like there wasn't like one straightforward response to anything.
Yeah.
Like everyone was speaking in little riddles and looks and askance glasses and like we're like, what does that mean? And like everyone's speaking in little catch my drift like half sentences.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mostly did catch their drift, I think.
I think, yeah. Also, like Adam and I feel like you and I haven't been this like much into texting about like a movie or show in a very long time. Like I don't think we've both been on the same page with like loving something this much in a while.
I think so. I think so. Like, there's been Marvel things I've enjoyed and other things I've enjoyed, but like nothing that makes me just like. Also, like appointment viewing is back for
Yeah.
me. Like, this is the one show I'm watching the day it comes out, no matter what,
Yeah.
and I don't do that for anything else
Yeah.
anymore.
No, I agree. Yeah. Um,
So,
Jojo, what have you thought of the show so far, and what do you think of this episode?
I mean, I'm the show overall. I'm absolutely loving. I don't think I've seen like any queer witchy kind of shows in a long time. The earliest memory that I have watching witches was Charmed. So I feel like I'm in a way watching Charmed mixed with American Horror Story Coven. I don't know. It's like the sassy gay like
Parentheses complimentary because I'm like, I don't like either of those shows.
really? Oh, I just grew up.
wait a
Wow,
minute.
I love
Uh,
Charmed. So it just brings me back to those feelings of watching that show again. But this episode, I thought this episode was good. I honestly agree with Adam. I think the last episode was better for me. I think what just well, it was missing. I think it was missing more like comedy. I guess that's what we had. What's her name? Mrs. The
Art.
Mrs.
past
Hart,
last
Oh,
episode.
Mrs. Hart.
Sharon,
Sharon.
Mrs. Hart. Yeah,
Sharon, when she
Sharon.
passed, I think she was the one that brought the comical
yeah.
into it. And last episode was hilarious. I was super engaged. This one, I was, like I said, I was engaged. It was good, but I feel like last episode was much, much better.
Yeah, that's fair. Joe, what'd you
Feel
think?
like, yeah.
Oh,
No, it's
Uh,
fine.
I loved it. I was so deeply invested in this episode, and this what this episode did great for me was sort of add more breadcrumbs to
yeah,
the story. So like in previous episodes, I sort of felt like I knew what was happening and where it was going, and in this one, it gave me more things to think about. It added like I don't want to get too into specifics because I'm sure we'll get into it later, but like the thing that happened with between Liliana and Jen, I think it was with Jen, right? No, with Alice.
Alice?
Sorry,
yeah,
Lilia and Alice, and where she was just like randomly saying things, and that was never explained and really wasn't hinted towards previously, and all these little things that happen, like Aubrey Plaza's character Rio talking about the bodies and how she wants the bodies, and referencing there's so many things happen in this that really built up the story and sort of focused where it was going for me, and it was in a lot of ways it set up the rest of the story more so than previous episodes did, where whereas those obviously introduced us to the characters, introduced us to the storyline, but this sort of set up the mystery and gave us our first few clues, I feel like. And I'm very excited. I mean, maybe not our first few clues, but more significant clues, which I'm very excited about.
I do think. Yeah, sorry. I think I'm somewhere in the middle because I do think the last episode was my favorite. I don't think like that ending of Mrs. Hart laid out dead being like bleak, kind of horror-y, and like you felt bad, and then
Yeah.
Agatha being like, "Whoo, Sharon!"
I cracked
Shocked
up.
but funny.
Me
I
either.
cried.
And like I feel like Adam with us, I feel like that's the balance you and I always like in this kind of shit, where it like can do both of those things.
Well, it's something that like I think that Marvel does really when they're doing it well,
Yes,
they
yeah.
they do it like the best right now. But when they're always trying for this, and then like 90% of the time they absolutely don't come anywhere near
Yeah.
the awning of this. Like it's a lot of flailing for that, and I feel like this is like our Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's just like
Yeah.
I'm so jacked up about this. I'm just like, oh, they reference it, and like I feel like in the credits when like there's like the Craft is in there and like Lisa with the how I'm like, oh my god, they're referencing. I'm like, so that
Yup.
I'm probably that guy about this.
Yeah.
But I feel like Joe, you were right, but like I think this one is providing a lot of that structure. This episode provided a lot of structure, and I know we've only got 9 episodes, and we don't live in the world which I would want to live in, where this thing got 22 episodes and we kept going forever. But like if this had like a Buffy or Charmed structure, classical structure, like I feel like we would have had like 8 episodes like the Housewives one, where it was just the fun shit of them on the road. And we had more games like that. And this is sort of like, I'm not saying this is a problem for this show. I had way more of a problem with it on Loki, where it was like, oh my God, they set up like a fun time cop procedural show. And then in episode 3, they were like, never mind, we're doing the plot now.
Yeah.
And like threw away like everything it could have been. So I really hope they don't deviate too much from this really fun game they've set up of like the road, and you go to a new house and there's a new thing. I feel like we're on a good track with that.
Yeah.
But like I would be worried about them just being like, oh, we're gonna reboot the story again like 3 more times before I'm worried about that. But like that's just because of
follow
MCU.
the road to the end.
Yeah.
I would like to keep up the fun game of like this fun damn cast of characters and actors just doing various witchy trials. I would watch like just no plot happen. Like I would just rather just be like, you get through like the various, like these are escape rooms, like various witchy escape rooms.
Right.
Like where they got to do it every episode. I would watch like 10 episodes of that, and then we get to like a big bad, and like I would have done like Mrs. Hart through all of that, and then you bring it like if we're doing 22 episodes, Mrs. Hart for 11 episodes, boom, she's dead, and then Rio comes in, and then we have a kind of a story thing going on. And I know we've only got like a few of these, so that's my complaint.
Like
I think that's fair. I feel like when it's not good, it's like, yeah, I'm glad this is only 8 episodes. But when it's really good, it's like, man, I wish there were more episodes. It's kind
That's
of
yeah.
like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was like, we're good
Yeah.
here. Don't need any more
Enough.
episodes.
And we talked about this, Ian, you and I, where I was like, I'm so weird. This is so fun. I'm getting flashbacks to WandaVision, the high of that
Yeah,
being chased with like Winter Soldier with Falcon Winter Soldier, which just like felt like the beginning of everyone's fatigue.
yeah,
Like that felt like when
Mhm.
everyone started getting a little like, what are we
I agree.
doing?
Yeah,
Where's the this? And now we're following this. I think the next Marvel thing is Falcon again.
Captain America. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's Captain America. Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah.
and what I'm hearing about that, I don't know. So yeah.
I have to mention this. I think you all get a kick out of this. So I teach, and we're doing like a unit on commercial analysis. So I like show them example commercials to give them practice for their essay that they're writing. And one day I showed a bunch of Marvel trailers, and one of the girls was like, it was a Thunderbolts trailer that I showed, and she was like, "Oh, they recast Captain America," and I was like, "Oh, no, no, no! Captain America is now Anthony Mackie, the Falcon," and she went, "No, he's getting his own movie too," and I was like,
Mhm.
"Wait," and so the guy in Thunderbolts is the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and she was like, "Yeah, and he's getting his own movie. That's a different Captain America," and I was like, "But no." But no, they didn't and like I was like, am I arguing with an 18-year-old about Marvel? Like I was like, you know what? Okay, sure.
I think
Because I realized I was like kept going and I was like, this is pointless. Why am I doing this?
I'm very excited for the mass confusion that's going to happen with Avengers Doomsday when you're like, listen, there's two Hawkeyes,
Right,
there's
yeah.
a couple of these people. No, 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 that's the young version of them. No,
Yeah.
he's Captain. No, yes, he looks like Tony Stark. No, he's Doctor Doom, but he's kind of Doctor Doom from this other
Yeah.
place. There's three Spider-Man, and you're just,
There's
and my dad has like 7 strokes.
yeah, yeah. My dad would have no idea what's going on. So we begin the episode with them burying Sharon. Um, I do we R.I.P. We loved our little wine nana who
Oh my
she
gosh.
just wanted to have a good time. That's all.
I was
Um,
shocked.
Share.
Mouth
yeah.
dropped. I wasn't expecting that so fast.
I do think we might see like her in flashbacks or something.
I think she's coming back. I think
Um,
Sharon's not down for the count. I think Sharon has more to say.
I
I
Maybe.
hope so. I
I
hope
could
so.
see it being like Agatha gets to the end and maybe like a couple more have died and it's like
Mhm.
Agatha can choose between getting ultimate power or bringing these people back to life and she does the good thing of like fine, I'll bring everyone back.
Well, like
Mm.
maybe I'm crazy and making maybe this is my like galaxy brain I'm left over from WandaVision watching, but like I was like, wait, so like I kind of read that scene to be so like didn't Rio come out of like I don't know, like
Kind
I
of,
had this
yeah.
I had this theory because I was like, well, they're just not gonna kill this like poor woman and she's so glib about it. She's dragged this civilian in. And maybe it is that. I mean, like maybe that would be very I mean, that would be very metal if they did that, but I'm like, I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's a thing that she did. Like, I almost wonder if just like Ria was like in disguise as Mrs. Hart, knowing that she was gonna grab a Green Witch out of here, and like, and knew like it kind of did like, oh, she kind of went and just and like, because she was like, I'm gonna go around and grab my purse, and like at some point she just got knocked out, takes her place, goes in there
Mhm.
and does a little acting, this sort of thing, and then kind of gets brought back. I don't know.
I,
This is my crazy way of like bringing her back and being like, no, she just went in there. She's just unconscious. She never went in.
That's a
she's
good
taking a
idea.
nap. I laughed so hard at when Agatha is like, all right, let's go. And Jen and Patty LuPone are like, Sashir Zameda gives such a good annoyed face. Like the like mean mug she's giving Agatha, and she's like, and Agatha's like, all right, she was a bad draft pick. Her like referencing Sharon as just like, oh, the draft pick died, no big deal, made me really laugh.
Yeah.
I can't decide. I can't decide if I think she's fully that insensitive or is just kind of like I'm like torn, right? Because I do think we have to make Agatha like she's like a likable asshole, kind of like Loki. I don't know.
Right.
Joe, I'm curious. What do you think about
I,
like
I I think that they're setting her up to be callous and cold towards the other witches because they want to emphasize her warm feelings towards Teen.
mm,
And that's kind of what this whole episode was about for me, was her relationship with Teen and what that means and what it's referencing. And also, I agree with Adam. I believe that Sharon is Mephisto. I think we can all agree.
I think
I feel like I hear that
I
name
think
and like
Teen is Mephisto.
I
Yeah.
feel blood coming out of my nose.
Yeah.
Well, I think not saying Teen is Billy is the new is the new saying everybody is Mephisto. That's the one thing that I'm just like, maybe I'm just too Marvel pilled right now, but I'm just like, wait, are we not what are we everyone's so mystified. I don't know. I feel I'm like, how is this show really gonna wait until the end to like say who this kid is? I guess so. Okay.
I think we're gonna get it probably the episode before, which is what they tend to do. They do the big reveal the episode before.
Got it.
I mean, for me, Teen is probably Billy. I think that's the way it's setting it up, or Nicholas Scratch, but I don't think so because at the end of the episode, I don't want to jump ahead, but obviously we had that interaction between Rio and Agatha. And I don't think they would do that double thing where they say, no, he isn't,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, he is. But I think at least Agatha sees Teen as an extension of her lost child. And I think Rio had something to do with that child being lost. So we'll see. I'm excited.
Jojo, what are your thoughts?
I was just gonna chime in and say, because I'm trying to stay away from anything about this show on the internet, so I'm not looking up nothing.
Good luck.
I'm really trying to not look at anything, like nothing. So I
Right.
know in the beginning people were thinking Teen is Billy. Is that what people are still aiming for, or have we decided no anymore? He's representing her lost son or dead son, or is like you said, Mephisto is like what's
People are
theories?
leaning.
And like I guess the general public, I'm completely away from that.
I
People
feel
are
like they're
leaning.
throwing out red herrings that
It's
like
looking
to like I
Billy,
feel like this is the show
but
doing red herrings, but like I think also they're doing sort of the reverse um I don't know, the trope of like, you know, how Logan is, where it's like there's the old man and little girl. Like we're doing like sort of older woman and like young boy, sort of like I think it's like we're building in that like she has this son she has lost.
right.
And so it's not, so it's just like if he does happen to be Billy, like, and she finds it at the end, it's not like, oh, you're this kid from Wanda and like I held you on a magical leash at one point, I guess. You know, and there's no other like connection there. So I think this is kind of building in like there's a connection more than just whatever. And then she
Yeah.
does, I think like I think she is villainous. I think this is somebody who we saw kill every other witch to take their. I think she just killed a whole lot of people in her time. And this is sort of, you know, playing on a, you know, it's just playing on the one little sentimental part of that to bring that in to make her care about this kid's fate by the end. Even though she, you know, like she cares about him obviously when she thinks it's when she thinks it's her son,
Right.
but I think we're going to see her get tested to care about him when she knows he's somebody else.
Was this the first time she showed any type of affection towards him? Like
No,
the last
she-
3 episodes, was there really any touching moments between them?
She
She's
did
been,
last
like-
episode
yeah.
when he was like trying to drink the wine and she freaked out about that and took
Okay,
the wine
yeah.
herself.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think they've been like sort of hinting like they've done a really good job with like laying this story out in a really believable way. And I think I mean, listen, there's a gay witch in a show that was led by Wanda originally. What are we supposed to think? Is it not going to be Billy? Like, okay, a twink with magical powers is going to be two in the same TV show? I don't think so, you know. So
I hope it's a twist that like, but it's not the twist. I think there's gonna be like that. Like, I think it's gonna be
too.
Yeah.
And I think I know Mephisto is like such a silly thing and on the internet because it's been so talked about with WandaVision, but I think that's what they are leading up to. There's been so many things, especially in this episode and the previous episode where they actually name him. They talk about Asian Mephisto. We know that Rio was working for someone and in that job that caused her to screw over Agatha. And then we see a lot of like demonic stuff this episode. When Alice was in the hallway looking at the masks, that one devil mask all of a sudden had eyes in it, watching her. Come on, if it's not Mephisto, it's Mephisto. It's me getting Mephistoed.
Yeah.
It's happening.
I don't know the comics too well, I don't know the comics too well. So like Joe or Jojo, like, do you guys know like isn't
I'm gonna say no.
isn't Wiccan like okay, just I was like isn't
Go ahead
Wiccan
and
like
say no.
tied isn't Wiccan tied to Mephisto in some way in the comics as well? There's some connection there
There might have been a
besides the
sugar
Wanda
daddy
thing.
relationship. I'm not sure.
Great.
It's
I'm
like
assuming.
he was the one
Looking
that
forward
like
to it.
he
Yeah.
had their souls is
Yeah.
the thing, and like there's like that like guy with the baby hands that was like going around that like image
seen that.
vision. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So I do think Joe, so like even you confidently saying that, I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? He's right. He's
I'm-
right. But like all you
I'm
need to do
always
is say
right.
something confident to me, and then I'm like, I'm right, sure. But I also keep going back and forth whether I think that's the case or if they just dropped it kind of to be like, yeah, we heard you talking about it. Here, look, there's the name. Because Jack Schaefer said in an interview that she was like, sometimes we name drop things as a joke, sometimes we name drop them because they're important. And like clearly that's like not saying anything, but saying
Yeah.
like it could be or it could not be. Who
Not.
could know?
Well, like remember late in WandaVision when we thought like Reed Richards was coming in?
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh, he's coming
No.
in. Like there was like there was like one episode where they were just like, oh yeah, there was like a name. I can't remember what the clue was.
They didn't
So
say the
long ago.
name. They kept saying, we know a guy. We know a guy.
We know a
Like,
physicist. We know
it's
like
Reed
there was
Richards.
like
Yeah.
they kept like and everyone was like, it's Reed Richards. It's and yeah, and they were like, oh, it's
It was
what's
like no
his
name
face office.
scientist. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it was just yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
that's what you get when everyone's like this.
Yes.
when Teen tries to say his name, doesn't an M go across his mouth though?
Well, it's
It
like
was like a squiggly.
it's like a
looks like
squiggly.
an
Like a
M
squiggly.
to me. I don't know.
It could be an M.
But it
I'm
could
on-
be.
I see what you're saying though, because I know what you're saying. It does look like a little M, but
It
I was
does.
thinking more of like just like some squigglies. But that could be. I mean, that could be a little.
So
I mean, look at the screenshot. Look at the material. You can be the judge of it because
Okay.
genuinely, look at it.
Joe's like, I am right. Look.
He's like, I know I'm right.
I'm just
So
saying. It's
my
theory.
friend, who is also a co-host, who may or may not be coming on for this, Kirsten White was saying that she thinks, and she sold me on this, but she also said it confidently. So that's all you need to do with me. She said she thinks that Joe Locke's character put the sigil on himself. She thinks
Okay.
that was to protect him from Agatha, because Agatha does say even the witch who cast the sigil would forget.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with them. So
Hmm.
she was like, she said her theory is that like he cast it himself before going to see her, and like left enough clues that he knew he wanted to get to the Riches Road, but maybe like put the sigil there so like she wouldn't know his identity because she would not like what she found
That
out.
would make sense to me because Teen started this whole thing by being
Yeah.
like, he's the one who's like, we're getting to the end of that road. And I'm like, if this ends with anything else than him trying to bring Wanda back, like I would be like, that's the biggest missed opportunity in the
Right,
history
yeah.
of missed opportunities. I know she's very busy with his daughters right now, but like like she's got to come back and like I would be very surprised dramaturgically.
What if she
That
put the
does not
sigil on
happen.
him? No.
Maybe.
That, I mean,
Wanda.
What
that's
now?
that's
An
I did.
upside down M is a W.
Yeah, she
The
put the
W.
sigil on him. That's why to protect her children from Agatha, and maybe she did it sometime during WandaVision, and then we're gonna find that out later.
Yeah.
No.
Well, maybe like when she like blew up or whatever at the end of Multiverse of Madness, she went to Mephisto realm, whatever they're calling Hell and Marvel, and then she's there, and there's some sort of deal she's doing, and like it's kind of a thing, and then because in this reality, Billy and Tommy they don't exist. So like, where did they come from, and like, how did they? So there's got to be something with how they're in this one.
So
Mhm.
so wait, I
Right.
can never remember what I said on the podcast, what I said like texting you, Adam, what I said like in our Discord. But so I'm not sure if I've said this. Someone might have been Jared in our Discord said, or maybe I don't know. I also like every one of my tweets of people I don't follow are about Agatha. Like that's all I see on Twitter, which I love.
I'm nervous to engage on any Agatha tweet because all of those, because it just auto populates my timeline to be like spoilers from the next 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay.
I
So
said this
yeah,
on the last
Jojo,
episode.
tip, don't like any tweet from.
There's a
Wanda people. Yeah.
reveal of the Funko Pop leak, and that was spoiled for me, just like someone cold posted it like last week, and it was on top of my feed. Someone commented on YouTube and was like, well, if you go looking for it, that's how you find it, Ian. And I was like, I didn't look for it. I just opened Instagram and it was
Algorithms.
top of my feed. But so that
It's
like
Elon's fault.
you know. But so I think one of the theories I saw people say was that Wanda put the spell on the kids because now we learn that you sing by putting spells on, and she's singing to the babies in the house after they're born. Like that's when Monica goes up to her. Like it's right before she zaps Monica out of the house and out of Westview. She's singing to them.
I'm gonna flip that. That would be so good.
Right? I think that would be cool. I don't know
Oh
that
no,
would.
because that scene is so hard to watch.
Yeah.
And oh god.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I did a rewatch of WandaVision before the series started just to like screenshot shit for content. And
Right.
like, man, it's still so good. Like
That's a great show.
What a time.
yeah.
If Mephisto isn't the baddie, do you like the big baddie? Because I would assume this show has a big baddie at the end of the road.
Right.
I mean,
That's
just
what I'm
like,
wondering too.
do you think it's gonna be Wanda?
I would
As the villain?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
feel-
she's been a villain the last time we saw her, and she died. And this show has been a lot about death.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna come down to whoever Aubrey really is. And Mephisto is gonna be like, we're setting him up for maybe another thing. Or like he's in it, but like it feels weird to be like, wouldn't it feel weird to just be like, oh, here's the devil, and we dispatch him within one?
I don't think they
TV
would
episode.
kill him. I think they would
Right.
introduce him here, make him
Yeah.
the big baddie. Maybe they get away from
Right.
him or defeat him in a small way to lead him into a bigger movie. But
Got it.
again, I think Rio is probably an agent of Mephisto because they did
Right.
say that by name in the
Yeah.
series.
They did.
Like I said, we know that she's working for someone doing something that hurt Agatha. And I think it also could be Wanda though at the end because
Yeah.
we have the beginning where she's solving a mystery and we have Wanda there dead.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of a big fear of hers. And each episode so far has been geared towards one person's greatest fear. The first episode, well, not first episode, but last episode was Jen's. She had to do the potion in that house. The second episode was Alice's. The next episode, who knows? Probably, Patty LuPone. Eventually, we're probably going to get to Agatha's. And who's Agatha's biggest fear going to be? Is it going to be... That'll probably be the big bad of the series for me. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
The big bad is actually Kang.
Maybe.
We have one more bummer appearance. Let's sit through it.
Yeah, it's going to be another guy that looks like Tony Stark.
So wait,
no.
the thing I realized I didn't say, which I was going into, is that I read another theory that also said in episode 1, they mention a car crash. And like, they very much talk about this car crash. And in the comics, it is that like her kids' souls were transferred to other kids who like were like about to die or were like being born or something. So that like, while it wasn't the like children she gave birth to, it was like their souls went into other bodies that were like dying or just being born, something like that. And so someone was saying that like maybe that's how this is Wanda's kid, is that like the actual boy whose body that is, like his family was in a car accident where he died, and then Wanda's kid's soul like went into him. Because that would kind of track with the comics. And they did like focus on that car accident. Like they talked about it a lot, and he says something bad happened to me a few years ago.
Right. Well, didn't in this episode, didn't Rio say something about that's it. That's the other thing. I need to watch this episode again because it was a little not frustrating. It was just it was a job a little bit kind of following the
There was a lot of clues. You had
a lot of clue talk.
You had to watch the screen the whole time.
I was like, hold on, what she said.
It was a lot.
And like my husband's next to me watching like TikToks quietly, and I'm just like, I can't focus. So like, I'm wondering about like, I feel like she said something about like souls and bodies, and she's in this body now, or something like that. Like there was something where. I'm very professionally talking about this right now, but like there was something where she was talking about like.
Do you know who she was talking to?
It was when they were in the sound booth before
They were talking about her collecting bodies.
Yeah,
she's collecting bodies.
Oh, with the knife. She was ready. She was impatient. She was ready to
a
knife.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at this again. But yeah, so sorry. But yeah, I feel like that. Like this doesn't shock me. The souls jumping bodies talk, because I feel like we're in that realm a little bit, because even if Mrs. Hart is really gone, she was in the ground, and then that body came up zombie-like and became real. Like there's a whole bunch of souls and bodies jumping around,
Yeah.
kind of in the air a little bit. That wouldn't feel out of the ordinary, I
Okay.
think, right now.
Yeah. So they summon a new Green Witch, and I have to point out the quote that really made me laugh when Agatha says, "May she be smart and not annoying and not too political." Like I don't know why, but like Agatha saying that, because clearly that would annoy her. I just loved it. Aubrey Plaza comes in out of the grave that seemed to be Mrs. Hart's grave, but because they assumed it was Mrs. Hart. Sharon. Now I'm
No, because they were looking at the thing in front of them, and
Yeah.
then she popped up behind. That's why I thought they were revealing that she was like, "Oh, surprise!
yeah.
It was Aubrey Plaza all along." In her body, like so, because the zombie body came up, and they were, I don't know. Well,
Yeah. Well, and so I gotta say, from the moment she comes back, I feel like Aubrey Plaza is having a great time. Like Aubrey Plaza is like smiling and winking at the camera, and like I can be sometimes hit or miss with her, but I think this is like a full hit. Like I think this is like they let her be her,
Yeah.
and that works really well.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza's
Worked
playing
out when
Aubrey
she
Plaza
played
with a
here.
knife. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, with a
Yeah.
knife. Yeah. Jojo, what were you about to say?
No, so I was just perked up when she appeared. But speaking of when she appeared, I was gonna say, her outfit when she came out of the grave. I was trying to take a good look at it. The first thing I thought, she looked like Rita Repulsa from the 27
Yes.
Power Ranger movie.
with
She
the
didn't,
green.
but she
Oh,
did.
yeah, yes.
And I kept looking, I was like, why does she look like Rita from the 2017 Power Ranger
God,
movie?
you're making
I
me
love this
remember
outfit,
that
though.
movie
I
Listen,
love it.
I am a defender
where
of that
she's like
movie.
eating gold necklaces.
Yeah, Elizabeth
Oh
Banks.
man,
But when she's in the
She-
green outfit,
yeah.
she looked.
Jo-
I was like, that looks like Rita.
Jojo, that imagery of her eating the fucking Krispy Kreme as the building like collapses around her and her just like not
And
pressed
Destiny's
about it.
Child playing in the background.
Good.
Fran.
But I also know that we are not in the majority because most people did not like that movie.
There's another timeline where that movie got a sequel and COVID never happened. There's
It's
that's
direct
what,
line.
that's the
Back to
that's the
COVID.
correct timeline. Yeah.
I wish.
So also we learned that Jennifer Kale is queer, and maybe all of them, because I love when she's like, I don't know if I should hate her or ask her for her number. Like they're like flustered by
Yeah.
how hot Aubrey Plaza is, which
They're all queer except for Patti LuPone, which is saying something.
yes. Which also
It's
like
great.
tracks that she even as like a straight witch, she'd be the one hanging out with all like the queer witches. Makes sense
Right.
for Patti LuPone. Yeah.
I feel like if
Yeah.
you're a witch who lives for hundreds of years, sexuality probably is not so big
Kinda
of
like
a deal anymore.
vampires.
It's
Yeah.
more of like
Right.
I'm an open situation.
Yeah.
It does feel like we're in an Interview with the Vampire kind of realm where there's a lot of like
Love, hate.
love, like violence, love, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patti LuPone's Lilia even mentions at the end that she was bit by a vampire, which I loved them like
Did.
casually reminding us there are
Uh-huh.
vampires in this universe. So they enter this 70s-esque house. They all get new outfits.
Yeah.
I thought everyone looked really hot. What'd y'all think of their looks?
On par.
Yeah.
With the time.
Yeah.
Cute.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so incredibly hot. I was dying. I wanted to wear Teen's outfit so bad. I wanted to rip
Yes.
it off that little twink. I deserve it. It made me wish I had like 6 months and thousands of dollars to come up with a cosplay for this episode that I knew I was gonna be.
No,
I was like, I want to come in a full outfit, but
You wouldn't need the
alas.
wig. You got the
I know
hair.
the hair's perfect. I just really need the
You got
jacket
that.
and
Look,
the
you got a
shirt.
little chest hair, too. I see. Halloween's
I
coming up.
feel, see, I end up like not liking 70s looks as much. So I feel like I'm gonna be much more like down to clown on when they get to whatever is in that trailer with the like 80s camp shit. Like that's kind of when I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll just wear whatever they're wearing. Yeah. Wait, any Friday the 13th. Yeah.
So two things. One, I love that Jojo gives you one compliment, Joe, and suddenly you're like lifting your arms up, batting your eyelashes. Jesus Christ. Two,
It's the only thing keeping me alive.
I thought Patti LuPone looked like Liza Minnelli. Like they like
She did.
right?
The
Yeah.
eyelashes.
She
Yeah, she
did.
looked great.
And I mean that complimentary. Yeah, I mean like a, not older, whatever, but like she like the vibe was Liza Minnelli with like the eyelashes.
With the hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
the hair. Yeah.
Pixie and the
Mhm.
Yeah. And I have to point out, my girl Jennifer still had her septum ring, which I would also be like, yeah, put me in a goofy outfit, but I
Letting that
still
go.
want the fucking septum ring. I don't care that it doesn't match the time or the vibe of where we're going.
The magic of the road
Yeah.
didn't change that.
They were
Yeah.
like, we know you want that, honey. It's okay. We'll keep that. And I think Sashir Zameda really does have a septum ring, I think. So that makes it even better. So we all kind of, this episode, the like everyone splitting up or the like trial part, this is my one critique. And again, I still enjoyed the episode, so it's not like I'm like, ugh. That all felt kind of like, I don't know, like I didn't understand how, if Alice, that was a curse she's had, and oops, I brought it with me. How was that the trial? That's where I was like a little bit
confusing at that point. That part really confused me with the curse, who it belongs to, who has it now. And then when you were talking about when they all went separate and they were looking at the walls and everyone started getting emotional, that confused me because I was like, okay, are you guys getting emotional because of something triggering you like individually? This is something with your past, or is this something overall that's scaring you all at once? I was so confused as to what was happening right there. There was too many clues at that point. Like you mentioned, the Mephisto in the mask. I didn't even think of that. So I'm like, okay, that could make sense. But is this Mephisto showing himself to each person, or is it their individual, like some trauma from their past, and they're all getting emotional by it? I couldn't tell where it was going.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't even notice that there were eyes in that mask. When do they fucking pop up?
It was so scary. Okay, because it's so subtle. She's looking at the mask. There's nothing in there. It's pitch black. For a second or two after she starts looking at it, you just get the sclera of the eye.
Oh,
and
you're
then
right.
They disappear.
I have it playing
scary.
on my screen to reference shit. And okay, yeah, it's like just a tiny,
It's so creepy. And then she looks closer and they're gone. And I think maybe it was the demon looking at them, like her curse, but it could have also been the big bad watching them, to see if they're going to get farther.
What about Patty crying, Lilia crying? Like, do you think that was Mephisto, or is that something individual?
I don't know what that was. Again,
there's something with Lilia. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, there's something going on with Lilia. She is one of those people who she's a reader.
Someone's controlling her.
Yeah, exactly. There's something else going on that we're not fully.
What did she say? She was like, Alice, don't. And then she came back. She was like, what? So it's like she escaped for a moment to tell her, don't something.
Maybe she was picking up Alice's mother or something because they were in that house that I think was Alice's mother's house.
I think.
Yeah, could be too. Could be her mother speaking to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
My theory.
She do it again. She does it again though.
No, but last episode she said, "Help Agatha" or "Save Agatha." Like,
yeah.
My theory is that there is a future episode where her trial is everyone else is out of time, and she's having these moments where she's connecting to herself, and everyone has to remember the damn messages that she's been saying.
That's it, Adam. That's so smart.
I like that.
That's real. Yeah.
Right.
I did
because there's a lot of like help Alice, save Agatha. Like there's a lot of like instructions.
You think it's one message?
Right.
I
think they're all going to be like thrown into separate like times or space or like out of joint or something like that, where they're going to have to like recall and communicate across time. I don't know. We'll see.
So I like that theory, Adam, because my theory was that everything she's saying will eventually come, like that'll be in the finale. Like it's all parts from the finale, and she like has the premonitions of it. But I was also reading, which is true, which I didn't even think about. When Lilia meets Jennifer Kale, Sashir Zameda's character, she says, High Priestess. I thought that was like a title, but every episode she has said the name of one tarot card, and that was the name of the tarot card she said in that episode. And so she has said out loud just like names of tarot cards, because she does
Three of Swords.
At the end of this, she says one too. And I was like, I didn't even realize that. And so like of the like tarot cards that like they have shown in promo, there would be like 3 more for her to say.
Good catch.
Wasn't me. That was me reading something. I was not.
The show is blowing my mind.
Like, so this is one of those things where it's got to be really, so going back to you and Jojo kind of talking about the same thing, which was like mapping the curse and everything. Like from a writing standpoint, I feel like this episode, I only liked this a little less than the last one because in this one I started to feel the strain of the writing a little bit because they had 40 minutes to like do all the Alice backstory, introduce, explain what that is, set up that, and then they had to like figure out how to solve it within that. And I feel like sometimes in a lot of these genre shows, they will all make these like wild leaps of deduction that are absolutely right. And like there's a lot of like, how did she know to do the thing and pick up the thing? Like there's way less stumbling around than I think there would be. But like I get that like we gotta be in and out because you gotta do all of this,
Right.
wrap all that up, have Teen almost die, he's brought back to life, Benny's not her son. Like they had to do a lot in 42 minutes. And that's where I'm like, I feel like I started to feel the rush of like gotta get this story out kind of thing sometimes. And that's when I'm always like, that's when I feel the Marvel writers room stuff happening.
Yeah, that's fair. So moving on, we also get the scene of Rio talking to Agatha in the sound booth, and I feel like I get what Agatha was doing to be like, look, so they like are more on her side, but I felt like it didn't work that well, right?
They quickly moved on because something was happening, and they were like as if they were like, we'll get back to this later, and they moved on. But Lilia mentioned
it was supposed to be, it felt like it was set up to be this big end of Cruel Intentions like expose, and like it was not. Everybody was not concerned. And made her look shitty, but
she still looked bad. It didn't make her look like great.
She's like, well, you've been exposed. It's like, yeah, you were exposed too, as like you kill everybody.
Yes, like you also don't look great. I mean, we talked about this at the top though. It is wild. Like, I don't know if y'all saw that tweet that had been going around, especially with this series, reminding everyone. It was like, if you fall for Marvel queer bait, then you fall for, it's like falling for insert something like shitty and obvious.
Right.
And I really did not think it was going to get this explicit where like Rio's rubbing her thigh, kind of wanting to like fuck in the sound booth. And I appreciate that we're not making it too saccharine gay, where it's like, oh, look, they just are like in love. And so it's like, these are two motherfuckers that want to kill each other while also wanting to fuck each other. And that is the representation I want from my queer characters.
You felt that tension.
They have good tension, right, Jojo?
I don't like women, but I was fucking horny for them. Like when she whispered to Agatha, I think she just said boo, and she just looked at her. And I was like, oh, they look like they want to just go to Pound Town right now. Feel it. And I had a little like, oof, okay, that was hot. I don't like y'all, but that was hot.
And I just, if you had told me like before the show started, no, they're gonna like make it that explicit, I would have been like, bullshit. But
I was waiting for a makeout session.
I thought that they were, I would have assumed they would have done the usual thing, which was just like, we're gonna code the shit out of these ladies, and you're gonna get it.
I thought that at first,
and you'll be happy with that.
No, now they're very like
right, and I'm like, okay,
She's like, don't. It's like, okay.
I truly am just like, I feel like this is not the show that Iger got sent all the dailies for. This is not the one he's micromanaging right now.
Speaking of Rio whispering to Agatha, that part when she's looking at her and she says, Agatha says to Rio, don't, or no, or stuff like that. Is that talking about like, I'm gonna kiss you, like don't, or something?
I thought it was intimate.
I saw that too, but then I was thinking, like, is she talking about that? Like,
I think she was talking about something else. I do. I think that.
Thank you.
Because it's like, because of the way it's delivered with like the intensity with which Catherine Hahn delivers the don't. At first I was like, oh yeah, like Rio's like let's fuck, and she's like no, but I think like, it's almost like she's like, please don't take these bodies.
Like, please don't.
Yeah.
But this is why this and I don't think this is a complaint. I think I kind of liked it. Like, this is why, like, I was like, man, this episode is just full of like queerness in the like very coded language everyone is doing. It could be read as anything. Like I'm watching a scene out of like Carol or whatever, where she's just like, the hat. I like the hat. Like there's just shit. Like I was just all this like 50s level like I think it worked for the thing where it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not going to be outright. We're going to do a lot more like glances and know what I mean and insinuation stuff, and it makes it feel more old school queer, which I think is
And
cool.
I think to your point, it's like doing both too, where it's still having like Rio rubbing her thigh, going to kiss her,
Right.
but also doing the coded. And I love that we're getting both because I do think you're right. It gives it a little bit of like an old school horror vibe, which like is
I
up
just want to
our
know how
alley.
like I want to know how a straight person is watching this.
I want to see their
I
face
like
reaction.
like what's their are they just like
Yeah,
wow, they
like this
seem
is
to
great.
be
Are they
eh,
disgusted? Like, what are you thinking? What's going on?
I think they are enjoying it on a plot level, but they are not like jerked
Right,
around like a roller coaster every
right.
second like we are, where we're like, what was that?
Just dealing with
Look,
the shoving it
right.
down our throats. God.
A straight guy that I used to work with, who normally is grumpy and hates everything, like commented on one of my posts to be say how much he's loving the show, and I was like, oh,
Did you say?
that
Thanks.
I just was surprised. I didn't say I was just like, cool, yeah, me too, but I was like very surprised.
You, huh?
So I do think like, yeah, I think you're right, Adam. It's like surface level, they're like, all right, cool. It's like witchy, spooky, sure, but not in the way where
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, it's just like how straight audiences in like 1948 watched Hitchcock's Rope, where they're just like, what a nice murder mystery.
or
And
I
then you're
refer
just like, and then like later on, you're just like, everyone is speaking so sickly, like flirting, and like the tension is here, but like you can't feel it if you don't, if your receptors are not attuned to that.
I'm gonna make
Yeah.
an old school reference that maybe I've made before. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's great.
It's like in the children's hour where it's
Oh
like
yeah,
that whole play is about a woman who's in love with another woman and she kills herself because she can't have her. And then the movie kind of still plays it that way, but then in the end, it's like, no, she killed herself because she was in love with the man. Duh. And it's like,
it's great. Like it's just production code era stuff where like you couldn't say certain things, and I feel like the Paramount laws went away, and so now we're getting that old school
yeah,
Hollywood
yeah.
thing back. So it's like, okay, I feel like we're back in this sort of production code era where it's like, okay, yeah, Iger just says like they can't touch lips and they can't touch hands exactly, and everyone just said, say no more. Everyone will hover
Yeah.
lips apart the whole show. That's
Joe,
fine. Yeah.
Joe, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say I had a conversation today at work. My straight coworker, who is a big Marvel person, is loving this show, and we were in the kitchen, and a lesbian happened to be in the room, a lesbian coworker, and my straight coworker and I were talking about Agatha, and she's like, "Do you think Rio and Agatha used to be a thing?" And to me, it was so explicit, and like they outright said
Yeah.
it. And
Right.
me and the lesbian just looked at each other because the lesbian was also watching the show. And we just looked at each other. I was like, yeah, I think they were. And so to me, it was like straight up said. It was openly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess for maybe straight people, it's like, oh, maybe these two little ladies had something going on at summer camp, you know. So maybe it was
summer camp.
for me to agree.
Yes, I mean, it's the old school meme talk where it's just like there's no heterosexual explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Like, what else would that be?
Joe,
Yeah.
when you told that story at first, I thought you meant your lesbian coworker asked that, and I was
No,
like,
no,
wait,
no.
a lesbian didn't like
No, the lesbian and I,
Right.
we've often made eyes at each other at the audacity of the straight people in our office.
So then in a very Evil Dead coded way, we start playing that record. And it does like a really cool like Evil Dead camp. Like that was all referencing Evil Dead, right? Would you all agree? Like from the like way it's playing as the way it plays in Evil Dead Rise and the way the camera's like panning around and yeah. That was like the first thing I thought of was like, oh, cool. We're like mushing genres where it's like this is like a 70s era rock band like vibe, but we're gonna do Evil Dead, which like sure. I liked
I
it.
felt the Evil Dead, but I was much more like taken by the like Bat Out of Hell Meatloaf 70s like devil winged beast on the thing and the metal.
I wrote down the demon monkey and its curse because it. I don't even know what was that. A gargoyle, a monkey? I don't know.
It was
Just
yeah. It's
Demon.
just like this winged thingamabob.
It was a 30-year-old
Somebody was up there. They were in a costume.
Well,
What
at
I
first
didn't
I
hear
was
you.
wondering,
What did
like
you say?
it was kind of like it was like a Smeagol Gollum kind of thing.
Yeah, with
where I was like,
your face, like maybe
is this like a person
yeah.
who used to be a person? Is this what happens if you're part of the family curse and then you get like corrupted by the devil? Like, I don't know.
They said that the production of this show was the cheapest. It's
Yeah.
the cheapest show so far. And I want to say, I think I read on the Variety article, it said it was like 180 million. But looking now that I've read that and saw that, and I've rewatched this episode, does this not first the monkey demon monkey thing? Because I was like, okay, that's
Right.
somebody's in a costume. But when they're on the road, did anybody catch like Wizard of Oz backdrop?
Yes.
Hmm.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's very Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It's
And I
so Wizard of
love
Oz
that.
backdroppy. They have the road, the yellow brick road, and they're following it. And if you just look at the back, it just looks like a painted board or something. It's probably not painted, but you know what I mean.
It's
And
so
It just
beautiful.
looks like studio.
I love
Yeah.
all the practical effects. I love
yeah,
how immersed it makes you feel in the world. I love how it feels magical. And I love that it references old witches like the one in The Wizard of Oz. Like that's
yeah.
it's so real. It's so in tune with the audience. They were like, gay people are gonna be watching this. We gotta step it up.
Well, I feel like I'm like please, hopefully, but like I hopefully this is like micro dosing small mid-budget genre stuff that uses practical effects and matte paintings and real pyrotechnics. I mean, that fire was really back there. This
Mhm.
was not like how fire shows up in every other Marvel thing where you're like, man, it's not fire. But like I was like, shit, that lady is like fucking playing the piano with the fucking fire back there. I was like,
She was going. I
yeah,
thought she was going.
the fire was
Taking
up,
her.
and I was just like, okay, like it's like the different, and it's like, okay, and it's cheaper. Maybe we can like think about this a little bit. Yeah, go for it.
That's what's wild is that it is cheaper, but it looks better. I think,
It
Joe, I
looks
agree with you.
better.
I think it looks so cool.
Mhm.
And it gives me like, I felt medium on Beetlejuice, but the one thing I liked about it was that like we were in sets, we were showing like it
Mhm.
didn't feel like a bunch of CGI mush.
Yeah.
And this has that vibe, and
Yeah.
I think that makes it more
Yeah.
fun.
Mhm.
Well, Tim Burton was like told that like, oh, you have to keep your budget down, and he was like, okay, well, I have to do this practically then, and it's like win for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of budget, I have to point out, I don't know if y'all saw that tweet going around, was like, this Marvel movie kept panning to Patti LuPone during a musical number, and she just has silly little maracas in her
Maracas.
hand. And I was like, I wonder if she was like, I'm not singing for that much money. Like,
I I I wonder because there's so much like let's all sing together, and I'm like, is it like there's gonna be one of two things
yes,
happening.
yeah,
Either we're building up towards the episode of her character
where
where
she
she has to do like a
belts.
solo
Yeah,
shit. And she has to do we're saving it for that, or she's like, I'm Patty LuPone, I'm having a good time. I'm just gonna don't worry about what I'm
yeah.
doing. I'm not gonna save this for later. Yeah,
She's like, oh, I'll
yeah.
pick up these little maracas. That's what I'll do during his musical number,
People
and that's
are
it.
people are plucked that she's not really doing her Patty LuPone singing thing up there.
But if I recall, Jojo, have you? I feel like she never sang in American Horror Story, right? And they sometimes did.
I have not watched all of those shows, all of those seasons.
She was just the Coven, the like
Oh, is that the
Christian
only
lady in
one she's
Coven.
in?
which
Okay,
season? Which season are we talking about?
She was in Coven.
she's in
She was
Coven.
the Christian
Okay.
lady who gets the like bleach or whatever poured down.
Yeah,
It's been so long. Okay, no, I can't remember that.
and I think maybe she's been in some other seasons. I think, but I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't watched them all. But
Yeah.
I just love the idea of her being like you said, Adam. She's just having a good time. She's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
You said
Yeah.
she is getting a solo moment?
well, no, we don't know. We're like, what? That's what it could be leading
It
up to.
seems I could just I'm 50 I'm two-faced on this. I'm
I
50
didn't know if you saw
like
like
I
a
don't know.
clip
Yeah.
or something or in the trailer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Also,
All I know is that like she on the red carpet gagged everybody by saying it was a musical and she was clearly not supposed to say that. And
Joe Locke and Catherine Hahn are like, "Burp," when
They
she
were,
says
like,
that.
because they were all like because Joe Locke and Catherine Hahn were trying to be like, good little NDA captains. And then like she goes in there and she like parts the crowd to like go into the mic and say it's a musical. And they're like eyes.
I'm like,
So I feel like I don't know. I could go either way on this, but like it feels like okay, if there isn't a solo or like a big thing where she's predominantly singing, then it has to have been she said I'm not doing a bunch like
You're not paying
they
me
would
enough,
not
so.
they wouldn't just put her in with a bunch of like people who are not singers or whatever.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Also I gotta point out Aubrey Plaza when it's panning around the room and she is just like, oh, that's the curse, and like smiling and so shitty. I loved it. I love that she's reading a newspaper, like, yep, that's the
Not giving you
curse. I do think, Joe, you're right. They do in losing Sharon / Mrs. Hart, they lost that like comedy, but I think they're bringing like a different type of like funny with Aubrey Plaza.
She was like that replacement.
Yeah.
No, she really was that replacement for the comedic relief.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
But she's like the comedic relief that also can kill you. Mrs. Hart was like the comedic relief that could die. Like she couldn't really like do much else. What did we think about the musical number? Because hot take, I wanted to love it. I was so excited and I was like, this is all right.
That was the one.
I didn't run to Spotify to like look it up or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That was one of the two things I didn't like. I didn't like the rock and roll witch song, and then I feel like it dragged a little bit. I was like, okay,
because Witch's Road, for all intents and purposes, Witch's Road should be a song I don't like because it's very like church hymn meets musical, which are two things I never like, but I fucking love it, and it's been on repeat. Like that TikTok of the guy like twerking as Sharon, that like has been on repeat in my head since the premiere. This song, I was like, all right. Joe, I saw you smiling. Do you have a different take?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I like it. I would listen to it. I mean, I'm not going to listen to any of these songs. I'll be honest. It's just not the vibe. But if out of the two songs, I probably would listen to this one.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more of I like a lot of rock music and stuff. So.
Motherfucker, I just said that is also what I like. Normally, I don't like.
Maybe some of us like it more. I don't know.
God.
Regardless, we were once more with feeling has spoiled us for an eternity. Like we'll never have another Camelot.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And they kind of solve it pretty quickly too, right? It's like, all right, they did the song, the monster burned up, we're good.
They wrapped it up very rapidly.
They're like, we have 5 minutes on this set. We have 5 more minutes. That's it, everyone. We gotta like speed this up.
They were doing Ed Wood stuff. They were filming without a permit. they were like, it's really cheap, no permit.
This is someone's house.
Set the bar on fire. Yeah.
You think that was the end of the curse?
Right.
Like it.
It made it sound like that was the end of that phase, and that was like now we're moving on.
Also, like her tattoo didn't come into play.
I was waiting.
Right.
I thought they were going to mention something to do with her tattoo. Maybe it's another part of the mystery. Because I feel like the Alice character, I don't know why. It feels like she has a bigger play in this at the end. I don't know if it was because of this episode, because they brought in her mother, the whole tattoo symbolism. Is that for later on? Is she bigger than we expect to be later? I wanted to know what y'all thought about that. Or is it for this particular episode? Because I couldn't tell.
I think all the witches have a bigger story that we're like we're building lore, I think, in every episode. Because I mean, we didn't even mention this. In this episode, we find out that her mom did not die on the road. Her mom died in a house fire. And like her mom just told her the road would save her.
Joe said something earlier that I feel like is going to be apropos, which is kind of like how in WandaVision, there was like the episode before the last episode in WandaVision was a flashback to like, okay, she wakes up, she goes there, she goes to the facility, she sees Vision, they're ripping him up, she goes to the lot, she makes the hex. Like you kind of walk through. I feel like we're gonna get like a walkthrough of not just Teen, but like maybe all of them a little bit. Like what was the before moment leading up to? I feel we'll get a flashback episode probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. So they get out of the house and we find out that Joe Locke is like, how did he get that cut?
He got thrown through that window.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm so used to like Buffy rules, Adam, where it's like they're fine.
I was gonna say, I was telling my husband, I was like, first time in Marvel, somebody's been thrown through a plate glass window and like it mattered.
It did something, yeah.
Like it was so fun. Like he's playing, and I'm like, oh, okay. So that
I had to stare at it for a second.
That
what
was
are we
important.
looking at? I was like, well, that's glass in his stomach. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, did the demon like cut him with a little like nail and stick it in there when he was flying?
They
but
didn't
no,
see it when they helped him up.
He's just such a little bunny rabbit.
He's
He
a
just
teen.
can't. He's a teen.
He's just a teen. Average 18.
And so Agatha, like, they really lay it on thick with like Agatha's worried, she's nervous. Jennifer Kale's spell does work though. She like cures him. And I do like when he wakes up that he's like, what happened to your son? Did you put, I like that he asked the questions, basically wrapping up that kind of talk where like he asks her, she put the sigil on and she explains it like, well, you wouldn't even know if you did because it affects the witch who did it. And like, we're like getting to these questions that we, the audience, were asking, and Teen kind of in the way that like a lot of the younger characters, like with Haley Steinfeld in Hawkeye and Kamala in Ms. Marvel, like they are kind of like the excited fan. And so we were able to get him asking these fan questions, which I appreciated because I do find that mystery a little bit like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like I'm more interested in the other stuff than like his identity because I feel like it's just so obvious that like
Right.
I almost wish it wasn't a mystery because it's like I get it, I get what we're doing. But I was glad that we got rid of the it's her son theory pretty quickly. I just don't know why we even had it there to begin with.
I think it's to open up her heart to this kid. I think it was because she's so the first few episodes, she really is pretty closed off to him.
Yeah.
She's leaving him in there tied up, gagged, like she, I think this was to kind of like be like, oh, I'm considered like I think it is to kind of pierce the veil a little bit there. And to bring in, and I also think there is the stuff with the son really heavily obviously ties into why her and Rio are so like doomed together. There's something there. Again, it's so clue drenched that I'm just like, yep, there's something about something. That's not that I know that. Yeah.
So he asked those questions. We kind of are like, and the way Agatha paused, I wasn't sure if I was like, are we supposed to assume that she did do, but it's because she is thinking about like, did I? But I wouldn't know. She kind of thinks Rio, like, I'm assuming that whatever it is, she thinks Rio helped somehow or didn't do the body collecting that she said she was going to do. Like, it felt like she was grateful for Rio for something. And I think that's why Rio stops her before they kiss to be like, that's not your son. Like, I didn't do anything. Because Joe, you mentioned at the top that like, you do think she had something to do with her son. And I agree. I think
I do. Yeah, I think that's what's being set up. I think that she had something to do with her son. That's the reason that they are no longer together or whatever, having that sort of intimate relationship.
Yeah.
I think maybe Aubrey Plaza works for a big bad or a bigger bad, and that's the person maybe she got the dark hold from.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with Nicholas Scratch, and I think we might even see Nicholas Scratch. I don't know.
I think because there's because we're plot wise to this point, I think, with where you were at, Ian, is they're telling kind of stories around the campfire, and Rio's talking about the "She Is My Scar" moment, which is going to be on Tumblr and pillows.
Oh yeah.
Just like, oh, they were cooking with gas with that. But yeah, like there was that story she was saying where she was saying I was just doing my job, and then because of this, and that's I'm working on a theory, but like, so I haven't seen any spoilers, but so I don't know if I touch on this short, but like I have a feeling that like there's something she's collecting bodies, and she was saying this, like I feel like she's, and because green witches are about like the earth and life and death, so I feel like there's something where like maybe she's a little bit more egalitarianly like sort of like supposed to like like do sort of Grim Reaper stuff,
Yeah, so
or like Mephisto stuff. Like she's an agent of Mephisto, like she's like doing Grim Reaper things.
Yeah.
Right, so,
and because there's a lot of like, oh, it's not time yet. There's a lot of that kind of talk, right? Or did I miss the clue where she did say that?
I don't think so.
Oh, Joe, that was it. So I feel like because I had this thing where I was saying, I think I might have texted this to you, Ian, where in the previous episode when they said, oh, she traded her son for the Darkhold, and I was like, it's gotta be more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And I really think this was, she's however many hundreds of years old. And I think she had a baby who was just sick and going to die. And she made a Mephisto deal. And if she's the Grim Reaper, she comes in and I'm just doing my job. And there's a whole fight battle, and there's a whole something with the Darkhold and the sick baby and Grim Reaper stuff and the devil. And I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, she just wanted this power, so she sold her. I think there's something where she thought she was saving this baby's life, and then she was tricked. She was Satan tricked into that, and she holds that against her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm working with right now. I don't. Yeah.
That's a good theory.
Yeah. I like that theory. Yeah, so then we kind of hit the end of the episode. What was everyone's favorite scene, Jojo?
Favorite scene was really when they were summoning the Green Witch, when they were summoning Rio, and like you mentioned about telling them the characteristics of the Green Witch and that she's pretty and nice and not being too super political. That was a good touch. The whole summoning part was really neat.
Yeah. Joe?
I think my favorite scene was, can I pick two? I think either the interaction between Agatha and Rio in the sound booth, because that was very funny to me. Catherine Hahn is hilarious. I love everything she's done before this. And I also really liked the scene that everyone kind of low-key hated and was hating on before, where they're all separated, looking throughout the house, looking for clues. Something about it was very ominous to me, and I love a creepy, like, demonic moment. To me, that's the vibe, and that's what was going on to me. And I loved, like, them hearing the curse. It was very cool to me.
Yeah. Adam?
I have three. No, so I'll blow some really quickly. But like, I think so, jumping into what Joe was saying, like so like that part where they're looking through the house, like I am a huge fan, like way about the like mid-90s, way back when, like point and click genre games. It felt like it was like you were in a house. It's the 70s.
Yeah.
Investigate the mess. Right?
Okay.
There's a lot of that stuff. And I was like, ooh, we're doing this thing where we're taking like 3 minutes and kind of investigating the space. I always love the details in that. I loved from a pure practical effects like impressiveness, which I am very rarely impressed by Marvel effects because I understand they like do amazing work and they all have to like they all like never see their families and
Right.
you know it's just like just to make this computer stuff, and I'm just like I loved that I was so gagged that we were seeing this sort of part visual effects, part practical winged creature metal fire behind her while she's playing the piano. I was like, so just like, yeah, okay, let's do a real thing. But really, like my favorite scene was the end. I like anything between Agatha and Tatine. I think they're just a great foil.
Yeah.
I think it's a great pairing. I think it's of all the like you said, Ian, the Marvel sort of the young kid is a fan of the established one. I think it was brilliant to have the like person who's a fan of Agatha be this like capital FAG, like just like energy. Like I'm like, of course that's the person who's the fan. Yeah. Like I think that's great, regardless of who he ends up being her or whatever, like that, whatever what this all ends up being. I think it's just great to have this like little queer mo just like come in and just be so like, and then this, and then this, and then when you did it, like who else would care?
Right. That's so tracks. Yes.
Who else would care, and who else would? Because everybody else is like, they're impressed with her and they know about her, but the thing that Teen has that everyone else is missing is everyone else is like, she's awful, she's terrible, and like Teen is just like, honestly work like it's
he's like, yes,
stuff. Like, you need someone to be like, I don't care about Soldier Baby, like he doesn't care.
Listen, Adam, you said this to me, but I've had many other people say this to me, that he reads as young Ian to them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
As a former vaguely goth teen from New Jersey, I also feel seen with him, so I appreciate it.
Well, because it's like when he's asking her, he's being so, and she says like in that curious little voice of it, like they like each other, but like he's asking her in this sort of like kitteny kind of way, and it's like, who else would one episode before here she straight up sold her baby for the Demon's book, and then the next episode be like, but like how sold your baby, like what are we talking about? Like he's doing Stan stuff where he's like trying to be like, well, you don't understand, she was like under Tommy Mottola at the time, like you don't understand, like she was like there's other circumstances, like you need somebody to just be like, no, we need the whole story.
Yeah, no, and also Adam, I would gravitate towards a woman like Agatha. That would absolutely be like, of course. Like, yes, tell me what to do. My favorite scene, I think it might be either them invoking Rio when they like get her, because I just love the way Agatha's like, and not too political. But also I do love the end scene between Rio and Agatha where it's like they're about to hook up, but Rio's like, let me be honest with you for 1 second, because I don't want us to like fuck under false circumstances. And then it ends. And I like that. I do. That was like, so I don't like Eternals, but the thing I give Eternals credit for is the gay couple. I do think is done well. I think it's very brief and very like doesn't quite matter. I do think it's done well. But this, and that was more like well-to-do, settled older queers, even though they're probably younger than me, like queer couple that is like, they have a family, they have a nice house. This is more my vibe where it's like chaotic, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, queer people, which I
Yeah.
like. And I relate to more.
It's like middle-aged single queers and how they relate to each other and how
Right.
much is like negativity is part of it. Yeah.
And Aubrey Plaza and I are both half Puerto Rican. We're both of 40-year-old experience. So I like relating to her, continuing to relate to her. So yeah, that was probably my favorite. What was your favorite outfit, Jojo?
Oh, it was Rio's Rita Repulsa outfit.
Fair.
Her
Adam?
OG green, yeah.
My favorite outfit. I don't know. I think I don't know, 'cause the 70s outfits I liked. I did
It's
like what
okay
Joe
if you
was
didn't
saying.
like
Like
any of them.
I did like no outfits, none. No, I did like what Teen was wearing. I thought I would not want to wear it, but on him it worked. And
What's
on
that?
Joe it would work. And on
on
on Joe it would on both Joes it works. Yeah.
on Joe Locke and Joe Organa is the
You
only time
need
that works.
you need the hair he had and that Joe's got, that kind of wavy 70s hair.
Yeah.
You need that kind of like
You don't understand. I'm gonna wear
yeah.
that. I'm gonna get that outfit. I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it soon. And
Halloween.
you guys are gonna see the pictures of satin pants, the
All
fur
right.
coat. I'm
Do it.
I'm
In your
gonna do
pit.
it.
Prove me wrong. Yeah.
I look forward to the photo shoot,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Jojo, wait, Jojo, did you say? Yeah, you did. Joe, you did not say. What was your favorite
Well,
outfit?
Tina, obviously, I loved his outfit. I have to pick a second, it would probably be Aubrey Plaza's in-house outfit. I think
Mhm.
underrated. She looked like so opposite of her character because her character's like so creative and crazy and crawling out of the earth. And then when she's in the house, she's like in this very glamorous like bodysuit, looking very beautiful, elegant. So I really liked that juxtaposition with her character. I thought that was a really cool choice.
So I'm kind of with you on that because I'm tied for Aubrey Plaza and Catherine Hahn because they both have very similar outfits, very like cleavagey, which we love to see.
Yeah.
They look hot. But I thought Joe Locke looked I was very charmed by
So
like
good.
him in this outfit and like
They
the
keep putting
wig.
him in these like little outfits. Like he's so little. Like the last one they put him in this like little and he was like gonna because everyone else was Modern Housewives, but then like he was in this
Like
Gatsby.
1950s, like
Yeah,
yeah.
he was like he was like Great Gatsby. Yeah, he was just West Egg
Yeah.
like croquet looking guy.
Country
Yeah, I
club
was like
gay.
someone is putting him in these little just dog outfits. And it's
All
so
right.
silly.
Give me your theory. What's a theory you have that you want to share for moving forward? Joe, I'm gonna pick on you first.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I spilled all my theories.
Yeah.
I do feel like Billy has more or Billy, I should say Teen has more to say than we've heard so far. I think once that the thing binding him from talking about, I think we're gonna get more than we know. I think we do have a big bad coming that we haven't met, whether it be Mephisto or whether it be Wanda. I think we're gonna see them at the end. I think
Give me both.
I think yeah, maybe Wanda is an agent of Mephisto. We don't know. I'm excited. I'm ready. I think Rio has an alternative reason for being there. I think she does have uh, an ulterior motive,
Okay.
and et cetera, et cetera.
Jojo?
I don't have the answer like that. I have no idea where this show is going. I'm just as like confused as I was when I watched WandaVision. I really took it episode by episode and trying to put puzzle pieces together. This show is basically the same way. I think everything that we've discussed makes complete sense. I guess the only thing I'm expecting or hoping for the end, I really do want it to center back around to Wanda.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I would theorize or hope for really at the end of it as Wanda. But other than that, I have no idea which route this is going. And this is why I love these discussions because I made like four different bullet points to point things out because I also want y'all's opinions on where this is going because I don't exactly know where it's going. But now that we've had this discussion, I can see every single person's route. I mean, it makes sense.
Jojo
So
gives
thank
everyone
you
an
guys.
A.
Yeah, yeah, I love all the ideas, and it makes everyone makes sense, honestly, to me. So who knows where it's gonna go? We'll see.
Mhm.
Adam.
Well, I had my baby one earlier. So besides that one, I do think ultimately big picture here, I
Mhm.
do think we're building, I think we have no choice but to end with Wanda. And I mean, like I think she shows up.
Started with her.
I don't think maybe it's not an antagonist thing, but I think we're seeing her. I think we're getting a redemption arc because I think I think they would be wise to not just bring her back, but like rehabilitate her
Yeah.
post Multiverse of Madness. I think everybody acknowledged that was a trying to jam in a lot of stuff around COVID time mess up
Yeah.
with like when she showed up on set and she's like, guys, we do not know what we're doing in WandaVision right now. And there was a big tonal jump. And like
Yeah.
I think this would be an opportune time to course correct that because Jojo, like you said, like we open with the whole first episode is centered around Wanda, how'd her body get there? It was crushed. It came from Eastern Europe. It was all these different clues about like clearly her body somehow got from whatever the castle, whatever, but like to this area back in Westview. I think this is leading towards it's Billy and he's bringing his mom back and bringing Wanda back also undoes 100%. It brings Agatha's powers back. I
Yeah.
think that would do that because there's something like the witch who cast it has to bring it back. So I
Mhm.
think we're doing that because I really truly feel like at least bringing her back into play for Doomsday isn't going to be important
Yeah.
because I think you got Doctor Doom who's witchy like that. I don't know if they're going to go into that part of the
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
but I know everybody's kind of mad that because it's like because also Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom are both Romani, and then they're
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Caucasian actors. But like, I think they are going to play around with like not just the scientific man because that would just be Tony Stark again, but
Yeah.
like the witch part of it because I feel like you got to bring her back into the game.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's
And
it.
like
Yeah,
her and Doctor Doom do interact a lot in the comics and the
right.
Children's Crusade. That's like where she is in Latvia. Um,
I think they know that for the Avengers, they got to bring back as many heavy hitters as they can.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
Hmm.
Well, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. And if you want to watch these video recordings, you can watch them on our YouTube channel where you should subscribe and give us a little few likes and stuff. You can see our pretty faces. And if you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon, where we are currently covering Batman the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, and Buffy Season 4 for its 25th anniversary. Good Lord, we are old, Adam. And if you want to find us on social, we are at SlayerFestX98 on all social media platforms. If you want to find me, I'm at Ian X Carlos. Adam, where can everyone find you and get your books?
You can find me on pretty much all the platform at the Adam Sass, Sass like sassy, and you can get any of my 4 young adult novels, 2 romances, 2 thrillers, wherever you buy your books, regular bookstore, Barnes and Noble, Amazon. It does not matter to me. You can get the audiobook. Go to your library. Just fall into the world of reading.
And just so everybody knows, both of Adam's like thriller horror books were my favorite books I read that year that I read them. So like very much recommend. Jojo, where can everyone find you and your things?
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram. I am Jojo Cortes with an S, not a Z.
Yes, that always trips me up when I'm looking up your name. And Joe, where can everyone find you and your things?
Well, I mean, I am on all social media at Joe Organa, and Twitch and Twitter are my biggest social medias. at Joe Organa. Also on all other social medias. Find me everywhere, no matter where you are. That's where I am.
I'll be looking for you, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.